It's the same way every time. A late night broadcast, a stern voice, a uniform, a promise. We are taking power to restore order. We are saving the nation, and we will return to civilian rule. Then, another country, another capital, another announcement. From Mali to Burkina Faso to Niger to Gabon and beyond, Africa has seen a wave of coups that has shocked the world, with multiple takeovers clustered between 2020 and 2023. So today we ask the question, why are military coups rising again in Africa? Welcome to the channel where Africa's stories take center stage, from politics to business to culture and the untold narratives shaping the continent. If it matters to Africa, we discuss it. My name is always KB Japan, and I welcome you to yet another episode. Let's dive in. If you look at the map of Africa, you will see a pattern, a cluster of coups that has formed what many analysts call a coup belt across the Sahel. Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, and nearby states experiencing intense pressure, security crisis, weak trust in institutions, and political breakdowns. Then, outside the Sahel, coups and military takeovers have also erupted, like Gabon's 2023 coup that followed a disputed election announcement. In late 2025, Guinea-Bissau saw another coup, followed by African Union suspension under its zero-tolerance stance on unconstitutional changes of government. So this isn't one isolated event. It's a recurring breakdown happening across different political systems. The big question, why now? In parts of the Sahel, violent extremist groups have grown stronger. Attacks have intensified and governments have struggled to protect civilians, creating a deep crisis of confidence. When people feel the state can't keep them safe, something changes. The military begin to look like an alternative, not just a force, but a solution. That is exactly how coup leaders sell themselves. Politicians failed, we restore security. Here is the uncomfortable twist. Research tracking the Sahel suggests that after coups, violence doesn't automatically improve. In some cases, violence has worsened beyond pre-coup trends, depending on the policies juntas adapt and which armed actors gained space. So the security crisis becomes a trap. Insecurity undermines civilian government. Coups promise security, but coups can disrupt cooperation and government. And insecurity continues or intensifies. International crisis groups describes these coups as triggered by dire insecurity in the central Sahel and notes the challenges of military regimes becoming entrenched. Security is the number one factor, but insecurity alone doesn't topple government. A coup needs something else, a public that is tired and institutions that are already cracking. Factor number two is legitimacy. Many coups don't happen in countries where democracy is thriving. They happen where democracy feels like a performance. Elections, yes, but also corruption, inequality, broken services, and leaders who bend the rules to stay in power. A major UNDP report based on surveys of thousands of citizens, including people who lived through recent coups, found that support for coups often grows when citizens feel democracy isn't delivering and governance is failing, though that support can also be short-lived. In plain terms, when elections feel rigged, when corruption feels permanent, when jobs and prices of goods and services feel unbearable, when leaders become untouchable, that's when these crises arise. People don't necessarily become pro-coup, they become anti-status quo, and coup leaders exploit that. They present the takeover as a reset. But here is the pattern. If legitimacy collapses under civilians, it rarely rebuilds automatically under soldiers, because the same problem returns in a new form. Weak accountability, delayed transition, restricted freedoms, and temporal rules that stretches into years. For years, coups carried clear cost, regional isolation, aid cutoffs, diplomatic pressures, and the likes. Those costs still exist, but they have become easier to resist when juntas can find new partners and new narratives. Look at the central Sahel. Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger have formed the alliance of Sahel states and shifted away from the traditional regional framework, whilst framing international institutions as neo-colonial. And the result is a new reality. There will be pressure from regional blocs becoming harder to enforce. Sanctions can backfire by hurting civilians, and military regimes can survive longer by reshaping alliances. International Crisis Group has warned that the Sahel is also experiencing a broader decline in multilateral cooperation, with military regimes entrenching themselves and creating new blocs, changing how the region responds to crisis. If coups become survivable, they become repeatable. If you put the three factors together, you get a dangerous chain reaction: insecurity, public frustration, and international shifts. And the fear now is a spillover, that instability radiates outward from the Sahel towards coastal states. Some analysts warn that weakened regional cooperation and ongoing insecurity can ricochet across borders if political confrontations and mistrust persist. Most coups don't begin with tanks. They begin with something quieter: a broken election, a disputed result, a legitimacy crisis, a public that stopped believing the ballot, and the list goes on. Thank you for making it this far to the end of the video. If you're new here, kindly do well to subscribe. Tap the bell notification icon to receive instant notification for when the next episode is uploaded. See you on the next one.